Is it an addiction?
Is it an addiction? No, I don't think it's an addiction. I think it does put me, like, it makes me happy. But no, it's not an addiction.
So, for once in my life, let me get what I want. Lord knows.
You're gonna live with me now. Huh? I'm gonna take care of you. Because I love you.
Welcome to the fucking show.
Welcome back to Fantasy Football by Committee, powered by Flurry Sports. It can be tough to win a fantasy league on your own, but at FFBC, we will work together to bring home the hardware. Hosted by Zach Bruner and the rest of the Flurry Sports crew, we will give top-level analysis, answer your questions, and, well, go off on other tangents.
That was after I tried to get ChatGPT to admit that 9/11 was an inside job, but it stood firm. It gave quite a few solid points that it was true.
Welcome to Fantasy Football by Committee. The show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Hello. Welcome back to Fantasy Football by Committee, a committee of one tonight. Bye weeks are starting in the NFL Week 5 bye week. Also for Luke and Trevor, it seems. So it's me tonight. Sorry for everyone that you're stuck with only me, but it is what it is. We may have a little bit of a longer show, though, because it's a two-parter tonight. We are going to be doing, we as in you, me, all the interaction you guys want. You got my undivided attention. Lucky you. And St. Louis fan, I'll get to you in 1 second. But tonight we're doing the ranking show. So we look at my fantasy rankings and compare them to the rest of the industry consensus on Fantasy Pros. That way you know who I like more or less than the industry consensus. You get a feel for that. But we will be walking through that and answering your questions. Obviously, the rankings are going to be in half PPR scoring because that's what Fantasy Pros grades us on. You can also find these in the description if you are watching on YouTube, or just go to flurrysports.org. Rankings are always there. They're also always posted in the Fantasy Football by Committee Facebook group. You can, read articles there. You can ask questions to myself and the rest of the hosts or to other people in the community. So definitely go and join that. But these are rankings that are going to be updated throughout the week as well. So even if you do watch the whole show, even if you do get all the rankings from this show, just know they're going to be updated before Thursday night kickoff. They're going to be updated before London kickoff and one more time before the noon games or wherever, 1 o'clock games, depending on where you are. But yes, we're doing the ranking show. And then afterwards, either we will cut and, go live immediately again, or we'll just do a little two-parter. We're going to go over some buy low, sell high candidates as well. So, and there's going to be a big article about that on Flurry Sports as well. But you guys get it here first if you are watching live. Before we jump into the rankings, let's answer a couple of these questions since y'all were cool enough to jump in the chat right away. I love it. Would you trade Ja'Marr Chase for Saquon Barkley 1 point PPR? It's tough. I'm always a person who I don't love trading for someone who is currently injured. Right. However, just because of position scarcity, I think I would do that trade. I'm assuming you're not screwed at wide receiver afterwards. I'm assuming you are in need of running back help, obviously. But in a vacuum, I think I would rather have Saquon Barkley than Ja'Marr Chase the rest of the way. I do think it's close. This isn't me saying I think Ja'Marr Chase is going to be bad the rest of the way. Like I said, we're going to go over some buy low, sell high candidates. He's not in either, which I think, says something, right? Like I'm not looking to buy low. I'm not looking to sell high. I'm not looking for anything with Ja'Marr Chase. I think he's fine the rest of the way. And Saquon can be a big boost for you, given the position, We got a question from Priceless Pigeon. Apparently a 20-man PPR. So that's wild. That's a wild league. Would you do this trade? I give up Alexander Madison and Amon-Ra St. Brown for Tyreek Hill and Devin Singletary. Would I do that trade? No. I would not do that trade. I think it's clear that Madison's more valuable than Singletary the rest of the way, right? I'm not saying Madison's an RB1, but he's for sure an RB2. You're getting Tyreek Hill, who is, probably the wide receiver 2 the rest of the way. I think most people would agree on that, just below Justin Jefferson. But I mean, I think Amon-Ra is a solid wide receiver 1 candidate, right? So I think the downgrade from Madison to Singletary is larger than the upgrade from Amon-Ra to Tyreek. So I'd rather have 2 good players than 1 good player, given that league size, especially 20-man. So I'm assuming, having depth is a premium. And it's not just depth, it's depth you can win with. So that's what I would do. But let's jump into the quarterback rankings here. Obviously, scoring wise, just normal stuff. Find these rankings on flurrysports.org. But for right now, my quarterback 1 is is not Justin Fields. Could you imagine? Is Josh Allen in London versus the Jaguars. He's my quarterback 1. Quarterback 2, Patrick Mahomes at the Vikings. Number 3 is Jalen Hurts at the Rams. Number 4 is Lamar Jackson at the Steelers. And number 5 is Anthony Richardson versus the Titans. Anthony Richardson, for fantasy purposes, has been nothing short of spectacular. I think he's a no-brainer start from this point forward for me. And Lamar Jackson, he's been getting it done with his legs. We're hoping that the passing game progresses a little bit. I think it has a chance over the next several weeks to do some damage. Cleveland was a very tough matchup. And obviously he performed well. Obviously, I believe it was 2 rushing touchdowns helps the case as well. But, I mean, Lamar Jackson's going to do damage with his legs. That's his thing. So I don't think that's one of those situations where we say, oh, but without the touchdowns, without the rushing production, he's nothing. I've seen some people do that. That's so stupid. That's so stupid. It's like saying, if you take away the receiving yards from Justin Jefferson, he's a terrible player, right? Dumb. Stupid. He's a must start. Jalen Hurts. Mahomes, I understand, has sucked a little bit. I think the Vikings offense can do some damage this week, and I think very clearly the Vikings defense sucks. So I think sneaky, maybe not so sneaky shootout potential there. Priceless Pigeon also has Jonathan Taylor on his bench. If that changes anything, it doesn't. I think that means you have potential to make another trade going forward. Because on your bench, I mean, it shows depth, but I'm not feeling like, oh, I have Jonathan Taylor. I can trade away a starter for me, or I can trade away something. We need to see Jonathan Taylor play. We need to see his role. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered. I believe he's playing for the Colts when he's on the field. It's one of those situations. And after he proves his worth a little bit, then make a trade. I just don't think, maybe you're 0-4. I hope you're not. But I can't imagine you're in a position to panic. You shouldn't have to panic at this point. So I would sit. I would wait. Yeah, I understand wanting to sell Madison right now too. I understand he, for a lot of people, is a sell high. Yeah, you're 3-1. I think you can chill. I think you're good. I understand a lot of people view Madison as a sell high. I don't think he's necessarily that. I think he's going to be pretty good the rest of the season. Whereas, I think Jonathan Taylor's value could skyrocket. I'm not sure if it's really going to go down. He would have to get hurt. So I think you're in a position where you could get more in the coming weeks. So I would be patient. Other quarterbacks here, notable ones. Again, I'm not going to just read off rankings, but notable situations that I think are relevant to talk about. Justin Fields, I do have at 8, playing tomorrow night, Thursday Night Football against Washington. He looked great last week. I mean, the Bears finally got him on the move a little bit. Like, they changed the launch point, which is something they had to, it makes no sense to wait a month to do it, but they finally did it. So hopefully that continues. Getting him outside the tackles a little bit, using his feet a little bit. They need to do it more, but I'm very happy that they're changing that launch point. They're not just letting him to, do a couple step drop and then get his head taken off. Makes no sense. So I think going forward, he's not necessarily a must start this week, but I think you can trust him. And then, week 6, 7, 8, he's got Vikings, Raiders, Chargers. So better days ahead for Justin Fields. I suppose he could be a buy low candidate if the person who owns him thinks last week was a fluke or something, CJ Stroud, I also love. He has been great running that offense, make the right decision, make the right throw. He makes the throws. He makes the right decisions. He's been great. I'm at quarterback 10 at the Falcons this week. He, has been a top 15 guy weeks 2, 3, 4. I like it. I like it a lot. He's still widely available. So, obviously I have him ranked ahead of Trevor Lawrence. There's a lot of people starting him this week. Way ahead of Joe Burrow. So if you have Joe Burrow, he's in a situation where I need to see it before I play him again. So I would pick up Stroud and play him over Joe Burrow. Obviously 4 teams with pretty good quarterbacks on bye this week. Justin Herbert, Deshaun Watson, Geno Smith, and Baker Mayfield are all out, and you need replacements. So yeah, check out CJ Stroud for sure. I think a sneaky streamer, I wrote about this on Flurry Sports, a sneaky streamer is Zach Wilson, still very, very widely owned, plays the Broncos this week. Obviously, Nathaniel Hackett, offensive coordinator for the Jets, would like to put up some points on Sean Payton, and I think everybody can put up points against Van Joseph's defense. So I have him at 20. I may raise him up a little bit, but he's so widely owned where super easy and good streamer for this week, I think. Compared to the consensus, I'm not super different in a lot of spots, it looks like. I am 5 spots higher on Russell Wilson at 15. Obviously, he plays the Jets. Jets are a great defense. I think the Broncos offense is actually not that bad. So quarterback 15 is far from a glowing endorsement, but I am 5 spots higher on him than the consensus. Jordan Love, I have 3 spots lower at 14. And Joe Burrow, I'm 3 spots lower at 18. Again, there's been no sign of a reason to play Joe Burrow. I know you said, today or whatever, this is the best I've felt in a long time. Really? Okay, let's start playing good. Because last week or a couple days ago, you couldn't move your leg. I watched you. I saw it. So I wouldn't take too much from that comment. He is firmly in. I need to see it to believe it territory. Do I think he's going to improve? Yes. I'm not going to rank him as if he improves until I see it. Stu, Zach Wilson over under 7.5 touchdowns versus Denver. Over. I mean, 2 per quarter shouldn't be that hard, right? Why not? Why? Could you imagine if Zach Wilson puts up over 70 points against the Broncos? At that point, I'll tell you what I'm going to be doing. I'm not going to be praising Zach Wilson. I'm going to be tearing down Tua. Oh, you guys thought Tua was so good. Only 70 points. See Zach Wilson fucking drilling it out there. I love it. I hope he's cocky as hell this week. If he's cocky, he's playing good. He needs a little bit of that. It's kind of like Baker Mayfield. You got to have a little bit of that shit talking that he does have. It's just sort of been beat out of him, which sucks. But ranking show tonight, obviously going to go a little quicker since we're running solo, and ask any questions you guys want answers to. Obviously, like I said, after rankings, we're going to do some buy low, sell high stuff. So normal length show overall, but rankings are going to go a little bit quicker. Shown by us jumping into running backs right now. Again, half PPR scoring because that's what Fantasy Pros grades me on. I have Christian McCaffrey number 1. I know, bold take, crazy stuff. I have number 1 versus Dallas. I have Bijan Robinson 2 versus the Texans. Josh Jacobs 3rd versus the Packers on Monday night. Tony Pollard 4th at the 49ers. And Derrick Henry 5th at the Colts. I know some people are selling high on Derrick Henry. I don't think last week was necessarily a fluke. I'm not saying he's going to do that every week, but you know, I think he looks good, and I think the offensive line can get better, and I think they are capable of running against the Colts, more capable of throwing, but that'll just lead to the run, you know. I do have David Montgomery 6th versus the Panthers. He's going to continue to get that short yardage work. It's not a surprise what we've been talking about since he's been signed there, really. Nothing surprising there. I do have Brian Robinson at 8 against the Bears on Thursday night. Run heavy approach, I can assume. But for the people who have read articles on Fleury already, you know I like Sam Howell and Logan Thomas as well. So, yeah, I think the ball will be moved tomorrow night. George, over on YouTube, start Goddard or Jake Ferguson non-PPR. I can tell you those were very close for me. Let me jump ahead and get you that answer where I have him ranked. I have Goddard ranked 7th, and I have Jake Ferguson ranked 9th. Very close. I'm going to go with Goddard. I mean, you know, he's seeing the snaps. He is seeing decent amount of targets. I just don't think he hasn't scored a touchdown yet. Right? Yeah. But I mean, 774 for targets the past 3 weeks. He's going to get more involved. He will. It's just really annoying so far because he seemed like one of the safer tight end options entering the year. And, you know, so much value is tied to touchdowns. And at the tight end position, he hasn't scored a touchdown yet. So that's why this question's arising. But Jake Ferguson, as good as he's been playing, he's not like an every down guy. And they're still kind of using a committee approach at the tight end position there. So while I am starting or ranking him as a starting tight end, he's not like a lock and load, no brainer starting tight end option, unfortunately. Freddie, what are some wide receivers I could target if I'm looking to trade Mostert and Ford? I love selling high on those two. It's like you've read my draft for my buy low, sell high article already, because they're both in there for sell high. So, I mean, one kind of depends on how people view those two. To me, it's pretty obvious Jerome Ford's not good at football and Mostert is in a committee that's going to be extremely unpredictable. But some people are buying into those two. Like, I know they are. So who can you target at wide receiver? Let me just look at a list of wide receivers. I feel like it has to be a low end 2 at best. You could for sure get Nico Collins. I think you could get... That's an interesting one. I think you could get Garrett Wilson. DJ Moore. There's a chance. The type of player I would be targeting, I don't know if you'll pull off this trade or not, but I would target Terry McLaurin, Chris Olave, or Calvin Ridley. I think all three of those guys can be sort of buy low options right now. So I would target those three. I wouldn't be surprised if they're declined, but that's the range I would go for. Because Mostert, man, I mean, he has the stats to prove it. I'm sure his projections are still going to be pretty good on your fantasy platform. So, yeah, sell now. Sell now. Jeff Wilson's back, baby. That sounds like a sentence that shouldn't be intimidating, but it kind of is. Stoof traded Geno, Puka, Brian Robinson for Mahomes and Jaleel McLaughlin in a super flex league, essentially. That's great. That's great. I do love that. Love selling Puka right now, obviously. Brian Robinson's been steady, but yeah, going from Geno to Mahomes, you got to love that. That's a good trade. Hunter, buy Breece Hall? Question mark. Yes, in the fact that I can't imagine people are valuing him high right now. Obviously, I'm not ranking him great this week. He's 22. This is a game that could certainly be a get-right game against the Broncos. And that, I mean, so far he's been bad, and he has a bye week in week 7. So if his owner is struggling, especially, I think you probably could get a pretty good price for him. Pretty good asking price. So yes, I'm buying him. I'm not buying him with the thought that he's going to emerge as a running back 1 like he used to be, like he was last year's rookie year, obviously. I'm not assuming that whatsoever, but I think he could be a pretty reliable RB2 with upside, down the stretch of the season. For sure, especially in that stretch of Miami, Atlanta, Houston, Miami again. That's not bad. However, he does, I will say this, championship weeks for you, week 16, week 17. He has Washington, and then he has the Browns. And both of those defense, especially for running the football, I'm not going to be feeling great about. We do know Washington and Cleveland, all they do is collapse. So there's a chance that by that point, they have completely, thrown it in on the season. That's very, very, very possible. But it's also possible that they're still full strength. They're still trying. And if they are full strength and trying, it's going to be a little tough. A little tough to run. We'll see where the Jets O-line is at that point as well. We'll see who the quarterback is at that point if Aaron Rodgers is back. Kind of seems possible at this point. I don't know what to say about that. But yes, Brian Breece Hall, not going crazy, not overpaying. Hard to overpay for a running back who has less than a combined 100 rushing yards over the past 3 weeks. Yeah, possibly total yards. It's close. Other notable running backs for ranking this week. I have Alvin Kamara at 15 against New England. Obviously, he's going to see a healthy dose of targets. Again, he's just not a guy who's going to score touchdowns. He's not. If you put the over-under for Alvin Kamara touchdowns at 5.5 the rest of the season, I think that's a fair number. I would for sure bet lower. If it was at 4.5, I might bet lower. I just don't think he's going to score. So he's a flex. RB2 flex going forward. Aaron Jones, I have at 17. He is practicing. He should be healthy. The Packers just didn't even attempt to establish the run last week. That was the issue. And against the Raiders, they certainly can and should, because they don't want Max Crosby to tee off on Zach Tom or Rasheed Walker, So I expect a healthy dose of running the football for the Packers this week. I currently have Aaron Jones at 17, but check the rankings by the end of the week. He could be firmly moved into RB1 territory, depending on what the people in Green Bay say when I have my questions answered, which will be probably Friday, is when I usually talk to those people. Freddie, do you think I should trade Mostert now or after they face the Giants? My thought is that he'll have a better game than his last, and then I'd have an easier time trading. I don't know. Truly, and that's a shitty answer, but should Raheem Mostert have a better game? Yes, because that game was terrible. But if Jeff Wilson is for sure back this week, we don't know for sure yet, looking at the news report this second. Yeah, we don't know for sure yet. If Jeff Wilson's not back, then yes, for sure. If it sounds like Jeff Wilson's going to be back, it's like now it's a three-headed monster. We know they're going to be shuffling them around, taking a hot hand approach, and Mostert could be literally a 5-touch guy. And at that point, you're fucked. You're absolutely fucked. So I don't own any Mostert shares, I don't think. If I did, I'm for sure getting feelers out there. I'm seeing what people think of them, right? I'm not going to go radio silence and then go crazy next week if he plays a little bit better. I'm going to be shopping him a little bit, see where people are landing in terms of value, because maybe they're thinking, oh, he's going to have a better game against the Giants, and I'm buying low. If you can convince them that they're buying low while you still get good value from Mostert, I mean, that's what you got to do. So put some feelers out there, play some mind games, do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. If your opponent, your league mate that you're trying to trade with says, oh, but they're going to have Jeff Wilson come back, then just laugh in their face. You and I both know that is a concern, that is a threat, but be like Jeff Wilson. Like, is that a NASCAR driver? Who the fuck cares? Stoof, of all your leagues this year, what's your favorite team you have looking like? I'm in a 16-teamer that's pretty solid. Let me find the exact roster. My Scott Fishbowl roster is pretty good as well. We just put up over 300 points last week. So if you're unfamiliar with Scott Fishbowl, definitely go check that out. It's a great fantasy football pro-am that I was very close to being one of the final people last year over, 1,000 teams and stuff. Going to do it this year. But right now, my 16-team PPR league, which is also good, starting lineup, I would say, is Geno Smith, Devontae Smith, Brandon Ayuk, Devontae Adams, Christian McCaffrey, Jahmyr Gibbs, Darren Waller, Kyron Williams. And then my bench is stacked. I have a good bench. Madison, Gus Edwards, Jameson Williams, Luke Musgrave, Jerry Jeudy, Zach Wilson, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Kyler Murray in the IR. So we're good. We're good. We're feeling good. V. Fletcher Cox in chat. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. Props to you, sir. Big fan. Should I trade Derrick Henry and Tua for Ramondre Stevenson and Anthony Richardson? Very interesting. Very interesting. Stu, I know. I can't believe I got Zach Wilson on the bench. He's going to be in the starting lineup this week. People should watch out. Fletcher Cox. I think I would do that trade. Obviously, we are really betting on the health of either quarterback. I was going to say Anthony Richardson, but Tua too. I mean, he just started to get hit last week, and we'll see how long he lasts if that continues, especially with Terran Armstead hurt now again. Anthony Richardson finally completed a game last week. That's why I'm so hesitant on him. It's like he's completed one game out of 4. One. And we're like, oh, crown him. He's been great, but we got to be a little careful. I will say Ramondre Stevenson's a buy low candidate for me. He's getting so much work. He's getting the red zone work as well. And I think the Patriots offense improves. So I think I do that trade just because I am a little bit worried about end of season for the Titans. If they are not in the hunt, what do they do with Derrick Henry? And if they're not in the hunt at midseason, do they trade Derrick Henry? Does Derrick Henry go to a committee? I don't know. So I do think I would do that trade. I think it's very close, though. And it's truly a personal preference trade. Everyone knows I am anti-Tua. Just am. Bias is in there for sure. Mr. Fantasy Master, 10-man PPR. Someone offered Alexander Madison and DJ Moore for James Conner. Should I do it? His team is just looking at running backs. He's got Christian McCaffrey, James Conner, wide receivers, Jalen Waddle, Terry McLaurin. He's got Pickens on his bench, Javonte Williams, Gabe Davis, Christian Watson. So good team, I would say. Madison and Moore for Conner. I would do that. I would do it, and I would be looking to trade again, trying to get rid of some of that wide receiver depth. I'm just trying to make my starting lineup better just because you do have so much depth. I love trading Christian Watson this week. And then if you're not able to and he has a big week on Monday Night Football, definitely trade Christian Watson. So yeah, if you can get DJ Moore, Christian Watson, package them together for a nice upgrade, or even go Waddle and Watson. But yes, I would do the trade, and I'd be looking to keep trading. Do not stop there. Freddie, would you trade A-Chain and Ford for St. Brown? Yeah. Yes. If you can do it, as long as it's not Equanimous, fucking do it. Fletcher Cox. Someone said Ramondre is a good buy low. Yeah, I mean, literally, once we're done talking rankings, we'll do my buy low stuff, and then my article for buy low, sell high buy lows should be out tomorrow morning, and Ramondre is included. So yeah, love them. And yeah, I'm included with that Fantasy Pros rest of season ranking too, I believe. So yeah, my thoughts are in that as well. Booba. You got hella wide receivers. You got Chase, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Jacoby Myers, Tank Dell, Brandon Ayuk. Need to up running backs with Aaron Jones, Zach Moss, Alexander Madison, and A-Chain. I got an offer of Ayuk for Brian Robinson. Is that worth it? So obviously Ayuk, probably your third or fourth guy at wide receiver. Robinson may be immediately your RB2. I think it's worth it. I think I would try to do instead first, if you're just able to talk to some of these owners, I would try to go A-Chain and A-Chain and Ayuk, A-Chain and Myers, A-Chain and Dell, one of those guys, and upgrade from A-Chain to somebody better. That's what I would try to do first. Otherwise, if you're unable, I would still accept that trade. I think you're good. We on running back still? Okay, let's compare them to the consensus just to see where I'm higher and lower. Again, the Fantasy Pros consensus over there. I'm 7 higher on Jonathan Taylor. I mean, we'll see where I am at the end of the week. I have him at 20. I am ranking Matt Breida as if he's playing. So I have him at 26, which is way higher. That's about it for people who are relevant and higher. I'm 4 lower on A-Chain at 14. And that's about it. I'm pretty in line with the consensus this week. Okay, I just changed the framework here, the conditions. I'm 3 higher on David Montgomery at 6, 3 higher on Pacheco at 13, 3 higher than Madison at 18. And yeah, still pretty well in line, I would say. But yeah. What's up, Dad? Yeah, gonna need that backdrop. I need to figure out how to set all this shit up. Wide receivers for this week. Number 1, I have Tyreek Hill versus the Giants, Justin Jefferson. 2 versus the Chiefs, Devontae Adams against his former team on Monday Night Football. Stephon Diggs. 4 versus the Jags in London, and Amon-Ra versus the Panthers at 5. I think the Lions are going to pass a little bit more this week against the Panthers. I think it's easier to pass. Same Browns. Injury, just an abdomen. Non-participant today. Does not matter. He's going to be fine. Other notable players, I have Puka Nacua at 10. I have Terry McLaurin tomorrow night at 16. Chris Olave versus the Patriots at 15. We'll see if J.C. Jackson's playing there. Obviously, was just traded back there today. I have DJ Moore at 20. Again, playing tomorrow night. Trying to think of other notable rankings here. Obviously, a bunch of good wide receivers out this week with the 4 buys. I have DeAndre Hopkins at 26. I have Christian Watson at 30th, which is behind Romeo Doubs at 29th. Again, Christian Watson. He has a lot of God-given abilities, a lot of God-given, athleticism, size, speed, all of that. He's not a skilled player. Romeo Doubs is. Romeo Doubs has been there. He has the connection with Jordan Love, and he's a good player. I think Romeo Doubs is the receiver to own in Green Bay the rest of the way. Truthfully. Compared to the consensus, though, I'm 3 higher on Debo at 12. Obviously, watch the news there and just check the rankings. I'll be updated. They will be updated before Thursday. They'll be updated before Sunday morning, before the London game. And then after the London game, I'll do another update given the news that pops off. I have Tank Dell at 27, which is 3 higher. I'm 4 higher on Jahan Dotson at 33. I think everybody on Washington I like a little bit more than their usual value going against Chicago this week. Rashee Rice, I have at 36. That's 5 higher. That's about it. 4 lower. I'm 4 lower on Chris Olave at 15. 3 lower on Garrett Wilson at 21. 4 lower on Nico Collins at 23. That's kind of crazy. 3 lower on Christian Watson at 30. 3 lower on Jordan Addison at 35. People are still weirdly infatuated with Jordan Addison, considering he's the wide receiver 3 in Minnesota. People are still denying that, including Vikings fans. Got some, if you can believe it, Viking fans sent me some nasty DMs. Shout out to Alexander Madison. But yeah, he's the wide receiver 3 there. At the current moment, he's for sure second most talented, but we need to stop playing him as if he's going to catch a touchdown every week. Not realistic. But yeah, that's about it for wide receivers. Grove has a question. DJ Moore and Jerome Ford for Cooper Kupp. Yes, I understand there's a little bit of a worry about Cooper Kupp possibly not coming back this week. I get it. We all assumed he would be back immediately once, he was eligible. And we assumed that because that was what the media reported. And I will say, and this isn't the first time I said it, won't be the last time I said it. These media have journalism degrees. They don't know football, and they don't know athletic training. They don't know injuries. So we're taking injury diagnosis, analysis, stuff like that from some of these people. And believe it or not, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So crazy stuff. But yeah, DJ Moore and Jerome Ford. I'm getting rid of Ford immediately. Like I was saying never to pick him up. I don't like Jerome Ford. I don't think he's very good. So, yeah, love that trade. I'm willing to risk Cooper Kupp by sacrificing DJ Moore. God forbid. Trixie, what's up? Welcome back. Appreciate it. Should I trade Travis Kelce and Jahmyr Gibbs for Laporta, Olave, and Breece Hall? Wow, a lot of good players, a lot of good young players. Travis Kelce is the biggest positional advantage in fantasy football. So, and I bring that up every time there's a trade question with them because that's a tough player to give up. I understand a slower start, but Travis Kelce is still Travis Kelce. I think Jahmyr Gibbs gets a little bit better. I'm not saying he's going to take over the RB1 role. Sam Laporta is a sell high candidate for me. I'll talk about that in a little bit later. Olave is a buy low, though. I think I would do the trade. I think I would do the trade ultimately, just because I do think Olave and Breece Hall become pretty good this year. Slow start for them. And I think it's realistic to say Breece Hall becomes like Jahmyr Gibbs' equal in fantasy football this year, if not overtake him. Like, I think saying he's on even level with him is very realistic. So then you're saying Kelce for Laporta and Olave, assuming you need help at wide receiver, absolutely. If you don't need help at wide receiver and you're stacked and you're not even going to be starting Chris Olave essentially, then don't do it, obviously. But assuming you're getting starters back in this trade and it's not just for depth pieces, yes, do it. Moving on to tight ends, we'll keep answering your guys' questions as well. Obviously, join the Fantasy Football by Committee Facebook group so you can ask more questions there and answer people's questions there. Definitely a cool place to be. And a reminder, after this, I don't know if I'm going to end the stream or just continue on, but we are going to be doing Fantasy Football buy low, sell high. So if I do end up ending the stream, it's not going to be. I'll let you know, but just know we're coming right back. We're coming right back. So if you're watching the end of this video or something, just know we got a Fantasy Football buy low, sell high that we are going to be doing tonight as well. Right now, I wrote down 14 names, so a lot of people, a lot of words. But let's talk about tight ends, their rankings for week 5. Travis Kelce 1 versus the Vikings. TJ Hawkinson 2 versus the Chiefs. Game in Kansas City. Or no, in Minnesota. Good God. So Kelce at Minnesota. Hawkinson versus the Chiefs. Mark Andrews at the Steelers. Sam Laporta 4 versus the Panthers. And I do have Evan Engram 5 in London against the Bills. I would say the outlier there is probably Evan Engram. Not that people aren't ranking him high. I just think most people aren't considering him as a top 5 option. And I am. He's been playing like it. So let's respect it. I mean, he's gotten 8 targets each of the past 3 games. Big part of the game plan. Even when Zay Jones comes back, he's going to be a big part of the game plan. Touchdown upside might be kind of low, which sucks, but catches, yardage gives him a nice stable floor. Darren Waller, I have an 8. Darren Waller's been targeted. Like, people are acting like the sky is falling on Darren Waller. He's the tight end 12 for the year. He's gotten a bunch of air yards. He's gotten the targets. They just need to connect. And once Saquon Barkley comes back, runs the football pretty well, the offensive line will help because the pass rush will get slowed down, and then Darren Waller won't have to chip before going out on every single route. So brighter days ahead for Darren Waller. I'm lower than him on the consensus still for this week, but he is not a guy we need to fully panic about. He will get better. He will. People are starting to catch on to Logan Thomas a little bit. I have him ranked 15th this week, playing on Thursday Night Football against the Bears. The more Washington is in scoring position, the more the trips they get to the red zone, that's where Logan Thomas is going to have a big week because he's very clearly the receiving option in the red zone given his size. He's doing enough work between the 20s as well to have a stable floor, but I think his touchdown upside's pretty good this week. So I like him for fantasy. If you're a betting person, I don't mind the Logan Thomas anytime touchdown tomorrow night. Probably some pretty good odds on that. So yeah, I like him. Let's answer a couple questions here, then we'll get back to these tight ends. D's nuts. My name is Jeff. Welcome back. Great name still. Breece Hall and DeAndre Hopkins for Jonathan Taylor. That sucks. That's so hard. I want to believe in Jonathan Taylor so bad. I love Jonathan Taylor as a person, as a human, as a football player. But he's been so uncharacteristic this year, man. That agent has fucked him up. Breece Hall, DeAndre Hopkins, both underperforming as well, though. Assuming you're not starting Hopkins or Breece Hall. If you're not starting them or you're not starting them as anything higher than a flex, then I think I would do the trade. If you are relying on them in your starting lineup whatsoever, then I wouldn't do that trade. Because rolling the dice on Jonathan Taylor, it could be a league-winning move. It could be a nail in the coffin. But as long as you're not overvaluing, the first 2 guys and you're not starting them, then I would do it. Tucker. Michael Pittman, Christian Watson, or Drake London. Pick 2. I'm assuming I'm sitting Christian Watson. Let me look. Christian Watson, I know, is ranked 30th for me. So it just depends on where I have London. Wow. Okay, so I have Drake London 34th. So he would be the guy I sit. Man, makes me want to change that ranking. I'm going to trust my ranking. I'm going to trust it. So I would sit Drake London. Steven, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Do a drop Dalton Kincaid for Kyle Pitts as my backup tight end in full PPR redraft format starting. Mark Andrews right now, or should I drop Kincaid for someone like, I'm assuming Michael Carter or Jaleel McLaughlin? I would do it for Pitts. Obviously, Pitts is someone I would never recommend. It's someone I disliked going into the season, someone I've disliked in my rankings to this point. With that being said, people are catching on, and almost everyone is hating Kyle Pitts right now, which means he's undervalued right now. He leads tight ends in air yards this year. I understand, they're not converting, but the opportunities are there, and the fact that people keep saying that he's not used in Arthur Smith's offense, that's completely wrong. That's the laziest take of all time. It's a pathetic bullshit take. Truly, he leads tight ends in air yards. That means yards where you're targeted. So wherever the ball's thrown to you, right? Those are air yards. And he leads all of tight ends. So, if he catches it, if it's a good throw, whatever, it shows opportunities there. Opportunities there. He has the most opportunity for the most yards right now. And it's not working, but he's being used. And it feels like either Desmond Ridder is going to get better or Taylor Heineke is going to be in there, which is a better quarterback situation. So I love picking up Pitts. I think he has more potential to be, a top 10, top 5 guy than Dalton Kincaid does. So love that. Love that. Should I trade James Conner and Deebo Samuel for Kyren Williams and Zay Flowers? Assuming you're pretty good at wide receiver, yes, I would do that. I think Kyren Williams is probably an RB1 the rest of the way, low end, but I think he's an RB1. And Zay Flowers has been good. He's been used a shit ton as well. There is more meat on the bone for him for sure. Like opportunities there. Opportunities there. So yeah, I would do that trade. That's a good one. Love the questions, everybody. Would I recommend trading David Montgomery and Sam Laporta for Saquon? Or trading Laporta for Christian Kirk and Tyler Higbee? Half PPR. He has Travis Kelce. So you're not starting Laporta. That is a big deal. I'm not doing the first trade. I'm not doing Laporta and Montgomery for Saquon. Legitimately, Montgomery might be better rest of the season than Saquon. Like, I think they might be close given the touchdowns. So I'm not doing that. Trading Laporta for Christian Kirk and Tyler Higbee. I'm assuming you need wide receiver help is what you're saying. If you can get somebody better than Christian Kirk for a wide receiver, even if you don't get another tight end in return, I think that's what I would be trying to do. There's tight ends available. People act like this is the shallowest position for fantasy, and that's just not true. It's just the shallowest for most shallow would be the correct way to speak. It's just the most shallow in terms of name value. So I don't think you need to take on Higbee. Like, I don't think that's a selling point in this trade for me. I don't dislike Tyler Higbee. I think he's fine, but I'm assuming you're doing this trade because you're trying to get a better. Oh, you included more. I'm assuming you're trying to get a better wide receiver, right? He says, or would I do Godwin for Christian Kirk and Ertz? I don't think you need to get another tight end in return. I just don't think you need to get another tight end in return. I feel like they're adding that tight end in to sweeten the deal. And to me, the tight end doesn't sweeten the deal. You can get another tight end because you're just getting a depth piece, right? Like if Travis Kelce goes down, just have Noah Gray or something. Noah Gray would be possibly an equivalent to Zach Ertz if Travis Kelce goes down. So, yeah, I would be upgrading wide receiver. The throwaway tight end included doesn't sweeten the deal for me. Cortland Sutton for Jahmyr Gibbs. I think yes, I would do that. And that's truly just a position scarcity trade for me. Running backs dropping like flies. The only direction Jahmyr Gibbs will go the rest of the season is up. Like, he's not going to start getting used less. So don't mind trading for him. Cortland Sutton, I don't dislike whatsoever. But at some point, Jerry Jeudy probably has to get involved. You know? And at some point, maybe the Broncos aren't trailing by 50 points. So they might run it a little bit more. Should I start Lamar or Anthony Richardson for quarterback this week? We talked about it. And again, my rankings are going to be updated on FlurrySports.org throughout the week. But I have them ranked 4 and 5. So back-to-back at this current moment. I do have Lamar ahead of him. Ahead of Anthony Richardson. Very close, though. Very close. To the point that it could flip. Like, literally, this isn't just a self-plug saying, oh, better go check the rankings and get me a view. Like, truly, I might switch it by the end of the week. They're very close. And I don't think you have a wrong decision either, which should feel good. Freddie, would you trade Ford and Mostert and Ford? Okay, he commented, just one Ford and Mostert for Ayuk. Yes, I would do that. 2 running backs you can't count on for a wide receiver you might be able to count on. Sure, I like that. But yeah, keep firing questions in here. I still haven't decided if I'm going to end the stream and then start a new one right away for buy low, sell high candidates. I'm either going to do that or I'm just going to do like a little intermission thing just so I know where to break it up and then start talking about it. We'll see. We shall see. But if you guys keep asking questions and being cool in chat, then I'll probably keep her going. Stoof, would I trade Ford and Hyundai and Ford for Toyota? That kind of is the way in my mind that question went. A lot of Fords, a lot of car talk tonight. A lot of car talk. Other tight ends that are relevant. Cole Kmet I have tomorrow night at 14. So he is startable. Luke Musgrave was back on the practice field for Green Bay today. These are the final steps of the concussion protocol. I don't believe he has actually cleared it or gotten out of it, whichever way you want to say it, yet. But all signs point to he's going to be good. Tomorrow's a big day, right? You have that physical activity out on the field. And then tomorrow, if he's still dizzy, or if he, not still, but if he starts getting dizzy again, he starts having those symptoms again, that's when we start to worry. But if he is good to go again tomorrow, then he's going to be cleared. So optimistic about Luke Musgrave. Have him at tight end 2 for Monday Night Football. Last week, obviously, was supposed to be the Luke Musgrave coming out party. Indy got hurt, so that sucked. But we shouldn't forget that we were very high on him last week, as was a lot of people, and rightfully so. And he could be good again this week, as long as Jordan Love hits the passes. Big if. I have Kyle Pitts at 16, Jonnu Smith at 17. Falcons tight ends back-to-back right there. Currently, I'm not freaking out about them, but I have Darnell Washington at 26. Obviously, Pat Freiermuth out. We'll see. We'll see with that rookie tight end. I'm not going crazy about it, but if you're in a super deep league, I suppose, worth an eyebrow raise for sure. And for the Colts tight ends, Jelani Woods eligible to come back off IR this week. However, he's not going to. Hamstring, I believe, issue. So, if he's on your IR spot, he's going to stay there for you. He's worth a watch list tag if he's available. 6'8", 6'7", big athletic guy. The Colts are using their tight ends right now. Right now, I still value Kylan Granson as the best of the bunch. Andrew Ogletree got involved a little bit last week. I think Mo Alley Cox got involved a little bit last week as well. I still value Granson the highest. Not that I'm starting either of them or any of them. But once Jelani Woods comes back and has a couple of weeks to get ingratiated in the offense and everything like that, I think he's going to be the most valuable of the bunch. He's really good. They should have used him more last year. Not a bold take. Freddie, who do I value more? Ayuk, Olave, or Cooper? Cooper's last. I think I value Ayuk more, but it's very close. Again, going to be talking buy low, sell high candidates here in a second, and Olave is a buy low for me. I think he gets better. But yes, I think I'm going Ayuk as the top option there, especially with the injuries to Debo, the incoming injuries to George Kittle, and Christian McCaffrey for that matter. Should I trade Montgomery for Laporta? I'm going to probably say no. This one obviously truly depends on the rest of your team. Because Montgomery is a start-worthy running back this week. Like, he is possibly an RB1 this week. So I assume you're taking him out of your starting lineup. And it depends on who you're replacing him with. It depends on the rest of your running backs. Laporta is good. Laporta is a tight end one as well, but he may not be as big of an upgrade as going from Montgomery to somebody else as a downgrade. So need more info on that one. I guess, okay. Comparing tight ends to the consensus, I'm 5 higher on Luke Musgrave at 12, 4 higher on Dawson Knox at 20, 4 higher on Durham Smith at 22, and I'm 10 higher on Darnell Washington at 26 after I just said I'm pumping the brakes on him. Interesting. I'm 3 lower on Darren Waller at 8, 3 lower on Kyle Pitts at 16. What the fuck? Okay, so I'm 8 lower on Dalton Kincaid at 19. Why is the consensus ranking him 11? Do people watch football or no? I don't. What the fuck? That's so stupid. I hate when people are so dumb that it makes me question my sanity. Are people starting Dalton Kincaid? Why? Explain it to me. Explain it to me. He had 4 catches for 27 yards last week. That's pretty good. Pretty good. His highest weekly finish in half PPR scoring, 17. Okay. I don't know, man. I don't know. Okay, so what I think I'm going to do, y'all are cool. I think I'm going to just do, I'm going to hit like the intermission thing for a second, regroup, get the pages I need open, and then we're going to do buy low, sell high candidates here. And I'll keep answering your guys' questions. So I hope you guys hang out, stay here for a second. I'll be gone for maybe like 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll just get back going. Cool with everybody? Hang tight, subscribe, and I will be right back.
Is it an addiction?
Is it an addiction? No, I don't think I think it's an addiction. I think it does put me, like, it makes me happy. But no, it's not an addiction.
So for once in my life, let me get what I want. Lord knows.
You're gonna live with me now. Huh? Yeah, I'm gonna take care of you. Because I love you.
Welcome to the fucking show.
Welcome back to Fantasy Football by Committee, powered by Flurry Sports. It can be tough to win a fantasy league on your own, but at FFBC, we will work together to bring home the hardware. Hosted by Zach Bruner and the rest of the Flurry Sports crew, we will give top-level analysis, answer your questions, and, well, go off on other tangents.
That was after I tried to get ChatGPT to admit that 9/11 was an inside job, but it stood firm. It gave quite a few solid points that it was true.
Welcome to Fantasy Football by Committee. The show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome back to Fantasy Football by Committee. Thanks for the people who have stuck around. Obviously just got done talking about week 5 fantasy football rankings. If you missed it, you can go to flurrysports.org and read the rankings there for yourself. You can also join the Fantasy Football by Committee Facebook group. Rankings are dropped in there. You can also ask or answer fantasy questions in there, see other fantasy articles and all other kind of good stuff, connect with other fantasy people. And if you are a fantasy analyst, aspiring fantasy analyst of your own, you can share your articles in there as well. I created the group. I set the rules. You can share your shit. I just want it to be a cool fantasy community for everybody. So go and do that. Self-promotion encouraged. But for right now, let's talk about some fantasy football buy low, sell high candidates. If you're watching this on YouTube or watching this live, wherever you're watching, just know there's going to be an article, maybe a series of articles coming on Flurry Sports over the next couple of days going over this information as well. And we will, we will be doing a more basic overview here in this video, a little bit more detailed over there. But we got 7 buy low, 7 sell high candidates if I counted correctly. And we'll get into them. Stoof, am I solo for the Packer pod? Yes, bye week for everybody involved. I'm not going to be doing a live stream of the Packer pod Lombardi sweep this week. After I'm done with everything tonight, it might be sort of a fireside chat, just audio version, doing like a 2:30 a.m. record maybe. I don't really want us not to have a show this week, but yeah, Ryan Solo grinding in the workhorse role over here. Patty, before we get going, has a PPR question. Trade away Aaron Jones and Hollywood Brown for Derrick Henry and Kirk Cousins. Or Christian Kirk. That's a big difference. I'm guessing Christian Kirk because it's running back wide receiver. I would want Derrick Henry and Christian Kirk, assuming that's the trade. Assuming. And I know Stoof. Trevor and Luke are currently, they're unavailable to be on the stream, but they're fighting on Slack right now about the Milwaukee Brewers losing. So at least the priorities are set straight, I suppose. But let's just jump into now 7 fantasy football buy low candidates heading into week 5. That's important. They may be buy low candidates after this week, but some of these depend on the matchup ahead of them for this week, next week, yada, yada. So heading into the week 5 games, one of my favorite buy low candidates is Ramondre Stevenson. Does not matter your league type. I do like Ramondre Stevenson. Obviously, the New England Patriots have sucked through the first month of the season. I think their offense has had some moments where they have been all right. Offensive line still an issue. Mac Jones, inconsistent. He's had some good moments, some bad moments, and everything like that. But this past week, people were nervous. Ramondre Stevenson owners were nervous because we all got that notification on our phone that Ezekiel Elliott is going to see starter snaps today, per sources. Well, those starter snaps meant Zeke got 40% of the snaps. Ramondre still got 54% of the snaps. And I say that to say, in a week where it's supposed to be heavy Zeke, it was still heavy Ramondre. Like his role is safe. He's good. He has played the 8th most snaps per game among all running backs. Pretty good. He averages 19 looks per game, and looks is what I call carries plus targets. So 19 per game, very high usage. He also has 7 red zone carries to Zeke's 1. So, the talk was Ezekiel Elliott was going to be brought in to be the short yardage, the goal line guy. The data through 1 month does not suggest that. So high usage, great role, low production so far. He has 1 touchdown, I believe, so far this season. So brighter days ahead for Ramondre Stevenson. If everything stays the same, essentially, production is going to pick up and he's going to be better. So, yeah, I like Ramondre Stevenson as a buy low candidate. He is probably a high-end RB2 with upside, and I think you can get him for RB3 value right now, or low-end RB2. I think Ramondre Stevenson owners are they're not happy. They're pretty upset, right? They had to draft him early. They're pretty upset. Another running back I am willing to buy low on right now is Aaron Jones. Obviously, follow the Packers very closely, Packers analyst, and we all believe Aaron Jones is one of the best running backs in the NFL. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. One of the most talented running backs for sure. He is the most talented offensive player for the Packers for sure. Not a question. His issue so far this year has been mostly his hamstring injury. Week 1, he finished as the RB1, but he left early with a hamstring injury. Missed week 2, missed week 3. Week 4, he was very much limited. I think most people would say he was limited because of his hamstring. He was mostly limited because the Packers didn't even try to establish the run. They didn't even attempt it. Just coaching malpractice on Matt LaFleur's part. We also know that the Packers often put A.J. Dillon in the red zone. Again, just coaching malpractice. Dillon sucks. Aaron Jones is smaller, but he's a better runner, harder runner, way more talented player. Eventually, water will find its level. Everything will regress to the mean. Aaron Jones is going to see more work. He's going to see a lot of work this week, I imagine. Playing on Monday Night Football against the Raiders. The Packers need to establish the run this week. They don't want Max Crosby to just tee off on the Packers' inexperienced second-year tackles, Zach Tom and Rasheed Walker. There's no reason for the Packers to just sit back there and let them tee off. So they're going to run the ball quite a bit. Aaron Jones is going to be a big part of that. He's going to be a big part of the receiving game as well because Jordan Love, his best plays this year have been throws behind the line of scrimmage, mostly to Aaron Jones in that week 1 game. So yeah, he has to be a big part of the offense for the Packers to succeed going forward, and it's going to happen. So I think people are worried. I mean, he has 14 carries this year. I think you can get him at solid RB2, low-end RB2 value, and I think he's a low-end RB1, high-end RB2 most weeks. We will do one more running back, then we'll go to a quarterback. Another running back I really like, and I'll answer, Ben, your question after this as well. I like Josh Jacobs. The Raiders aren't interested in letting anybody else run the football. We saw this last year when he had, I believe, over 400 total touches. It was just insane. So far this year, he has a little over 87% of the team's rushing attempts. He also has 5+ targets in each of the past 3 games. So he's getting used as a receiver, which, if you told me that a few years ago, I wouldn't have believed you, but he is. He is the RB14 so far. That's not terrible, right? It's not like he's irrelevant, but he was the RB3 last year, I believe. And people are upset because he's more of a RB2 right now, sort of inconsistent. Obviously, he had that super dud where he had negative rushing yards. I think you can get him at maybe RB2 value right now. And he is an RB1 for me, and he has top 5 potential the rest of the way for me. Like, and this is, by the way, like I said, heading into week 5, the timing is pretty relevant here. This is probably the last time you're going to get Josh Jacobs at this value. He has plays the Packers on Monday Night Football. Packers rank 30th in rushing yards allowed per game, 155.3. You can run on the Packers, and the Raiders are certainly going to try to do that. The Packers are also, what's the best way to describe it? Unbelievably unaware of running backs as receivers out of the backfield. We'll call it that way. So I think the 5+ targets might be more this week. Like, I think he's going to be effective as a receiver as well. So I think a pretty good day is coming for Josh Jacobs. Again, I think I ranked him as RB3 for the week. And I'm looking to trade for him prior to that game because afterwards, you're not going to get a good value on him anymore. Questions, Ben on YouTube. Should I trade Ramondre Stevenson and A.J. Brown for Breece Hall and Austin Eckler? With Hall off his snap counts, his running backs are Ford, Rashad White, Josh Jacobs. So a lot of people I just talked about. Wide receivers are Jamar Chase, Christian Watson, Garrett Wilson, T. Higgins, Chris Godwin, A.J. Brown. Stacked team. Okay, so should I trade Ramondre Stevenson and A.J. Brown for Breece Hall and Austin Eckler? No, that's too much. That's too much. I'm not looking to trade away A.J. Brown. Austin Eckler, if he stays healthy the rest of the way, will be a bit more effective than Ramondre Stevenson, right? Big if he stays healthy. Like, at this current moment, he's not healthy. So I'm not trading for that player, and A.J. Brown's good. I'm not trading a good player for someone who could be good, but he's hurt. Can't do it. So I like the idea. I'm not trading away 2 very good players, in my opinion. Dez, in an 8-man league, would you trade away Amon-Ra St. Brown and DeAndre Swift for Tyreek Hill? Given that it's an 8-man league, obviously your team is going to be stacked. So you're just looking for top-end value. So yes, I would do that trade. That's not a trade I would do in like a 12-man. But in an 8-man league, yes, I would do that trade. Freddie, would I trade Travis Kelce, Kyren Williams, Michael Pittman for Tyreek Hill and TJ Hawkinson? His team, his running backs, more importantly, are Saquon, Kyren Williams, A-Chain, Mostert, Jonathan Taylor, Ford. So you're giving away pretty clearly your RB2. No, I wouldn't do that. I understand you need to upgrade your wide receivers, but I'm not willing to give away my RB2. And I understand Jonathan Taylor could become your RB2. It's just, again, it's just a big if. Like, I don't know what Jonathan Taylor is going to do. So at the current moment, no, I would not do that trade. See if they'll accept it with, would I do it with Jonathan Taylor instead of Kyren Williams? I still think no. Trading away Kelsey's too much. Hawkinson's great, but I think you're giving away a little bit too much. Any advice for someone that is dead last in the league? All my top picks got injured. I mean, you got to start making some moves, right? So we're looking for potential. So let me know your team. There's just no point at this point, right, in having a team of players who are mediocre with no upside. So I would just need to know your team, and you got to start wheeling and dealing a little bit. Maybe your team's just underperformed and it's not that bad, but need to know it. Leo got offered Puka, Mostert, Jerry Jeudy, and Kmet for Kelsey. No. He would be adding Puka to Olave and Waddle, but Mostert would be my RB1. Mostert would be your RB1? I don't think he would. I hope he wouldn't. You're making it sound like your team is terrible. So, I mean, if your team's bad enough and you're correct, then maybe I would do it, but you should be able to get more for Kelsey. Your running backs are Madison, White, Ford, so no. Mostert's probably like your third best running back. Yeah, I'm not trading for Mostert right now. We'll be talking about sell high candidates in a second. Spoiler alert, Raheem Mostert's one of them. So, yeah, not doing that. Not doing that. You can get more for Travis Kelce. He's Travis Kelce. Like, along with Travis Kelce comes Taylor Swift fantasy team names now. And, hey, whatever you want to say, there's some good Taylor Swift names that you can come up with. So, I mean, Travis Kelce's price went up because of it. Another buy low candidate at quarterback this time. We got Joe Burrow. This is an obvious buy low candidate. It's not a secret one. Everyone knows if you're looking to trade for Joe Burrow, you think he's going to improve, right? And it certainly seems like the only direction to go is up. That offensive line's bad. The way they're scheming offense up is bad. There's no two ways about it. Like, they could be doing so much better with the players they have. They're just not doing it. They need to, and a big part of it's because Joe Burrow can't fucking move. However, Joe Burrow is going to get better. He has to. He absolutely has to. And this is truly just a gut call by low, right? The schedule coming up is going to get better. Let me bring up his specific games here. So he has Arizona, Seattle, bye week, 49ers, Buffalo, which doesn't look that scary, Texans, Baltimore, Steelers, Jaguars, Colts, Vikings, Steelers, Chiefs. And for whatever it's worth, the Bengals have the Chiefs number in the regular season. So that stretch, the end of the season, is going to be very good. It's a stretch where the Bengals know they have to play well to even have a chance to make the playoffs at this point. And 2 easy games and then a bye week. I think Joe Burrow is going to get quite a bit better. I think he's a guy you can absolutely go trade for. And there isn't much left to do with that. I mean, the team who has Joe Burrow right now, they had to use a high draft pick for him, right? He was drafted relatively early. So there's a good chance that team's struggling. And if that team has a 2-2, 1-3, God forbid, 0-4 record with Joe Burrow, and they're like, I just can't take Joe Burrow at this point anymore, you might be able to get him for very cheap. You may be able to get him as your quarterback too. And at that point, if you can just sit and wait with Joe Burrow, he's going to be a great candidate to pick up. Absolutely. Okay, so to the team that is last place with a bunch of injured players. It's got Kirk Cousins, Ramondre Stevenson, Brian Robinson, Christian Watson, Elijah Moore, I'm guessing George Kittle, Isaiah Pacheco, Breece Hall, has Jerry Jeudy, T. Higgins, Najee Harris, Javonte Williams probably, Josh Palmer, Jalen Warren on the bench. Your team's not that bad. I think it will get better. It is a lot of meh players. You definitely need to get better at wide receiver. What I would do is I would look to trade Kittle. Kittle's got the most name value on your team. And even though like rest of season, he's probably going to rank pretty well, he's going to be inconsistent. Like that's George Kittle. And there's probably an injury in there somewhere. So I'm looking to trade George Kittle, get a respectable tight end, maybe go George Kittle and Elijah Moore, get a respectable tight end and upgrade that wide receiver spot. I think that's what I would try to do. Who do I think is better this week? Ridley or McLaurin? I have McLaurin like one spot ahead of Ridley this week. I like them both this week. I think they both have pretty good weeks. Yeah, you're dead last. I think that team has potential. I think you're okay. I think you're okay. Hard to say at dead last, winless, but you'll be okay. Caden, new viewer here. So, I mean, awesome. Thank you for coming. Usually there's a couple more people with me here, but subscribe. Every Wednesday we are live with our ranking show, and I'm doing a buy low, sell high thing right now. Here is their team. Wants to know any weaknesses. Josh Allen, Saquon Barkley, Khalil Herbert, so RB2. Christian Watson, Gabe Davis. We need to know how many teams are in your league, by the way. But Christian Watson, Gabe Davis, Rashad White, Keenan Allen, TJ Hawkinson, Marquise Brown, Marvin Mims, Jaleel McLaurin, and Zach Charbonnet. It's not a bad team. It totally depends on the number of people in your league. 12 team. Okay. You need to improve RB2. Obviously, you need Saquon to get healthy, right? That's not advice. It's just an obvious. I would be looking to go. You don't have a ton of wide receiver depth, but if you can get go Marquise Brown and Khalil Herbert and upgrade your running back decently, I would for sure do that. Otherwise, I'm fine trading away Christian Watson. Go Khalil Herbert, Christian Watson, and upgrade that running back too. But, I mean, you have Rashad White, so upgrading that flex, essentially, right? So that's what I'd be looking to do. Pretty good team. Not bad. I feel like it would finish middle of the road. Leo. Sorry, going back to figure out what. Oh, yeah, your running backs are Madison White and Ford. Okay. What would you say I need to upgrade? Starters are Josh Allen, Madison, Algier, due to bye weeks, Chris Olave, Jalen Warren, Travis Kelce, Jacoby Myers. Yeah, your team's not that bad. You just need a little bit more top-end value at running back, and that's not going to be Raheem Mostert, obviously. So, Algier's not the worst RB2 on a bye week. Hopefully, and his bench is Zay Flowers, Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk, Kirk Cousins, Josh Reynolds, Rashad White, and Ford. So what I would do, since you have Evan Ingram and Kelce, I would probably be trying to trade Evan Ingram, especially with Zay Flowers coming back. Or Zay Jones, coming back. He might take a target or two away. I don't think it's going to impact his value that much, but I think you're good at tight end. So I'd be looking to go Evan Ingram and Algier or something like that, and really upgrading that RB2/RB1. That's what I would do. ZDs. Better not be a D's nuts joke. 10-man full PPR starting lineup for this week is Josh Allen, Josh Jacobs, A-Chain, Tyreek Hill, Christian Kirk, Darren Waller, David Montgomery. Is this week a must win, or is it panic time, or how are we sitting advice? Did you ask something before with your record? Is this week a must win? Every week's a must win. There's no lose. Want to know every week. So yes, it's a must win week. Always. Is it panic time? No. And your bench is Higbee, Alec Pierce, or Damian Pierce, one of the two, Jonathan Taylor, Mostert, Amari Cooper. You're good. Yeah, you're good. Like Stoof says, stay strong. That's a good team. A lot of questions. I appreciate it. I'm going to answer a few of them. We got to wrap up these buy low so I can cut this fucking video. Christian Kirk or Calvin Ridley rest of season? I'm going Calvin Ridley. Like both. In PPR, it's a little closer, but I'm going to go Calvin Ridley. Any trades to make with the team of Ridley or McLaurin? Any trades I should make? Got 4 elite wide receivers. I should read the question before I try to answer. Have 4 running backs in Breece Hall, Alvin Kamara, Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley. Want to make a big time trade to get an elite wide receiver. I'm going to do sell high candidates here in a little bit, and Alvin Kamara is one of them. So absolutely would love to trade Alvin Kamara. If you can trade one of them to get a great wide receiver, absolutely do it. I would even be willing to do like it depends on the rest of your team, but I might be willing to do Alvin Kamara, Terry McLaurin for like a Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill. I would be willing to give up 2 for 1 there. I was trying to click on the one ahead of that. That's fine. Ray, would you trade David Montgomery and Christian Kirk for DeAndre Swift and Ridley? My 3 wide receivers I could start every week would be Olave, Metcalf, and Ridley. Barkley and Swift would be my RB1 and 2, and Hawkinson would be tight end. So would I trade David Montgomery and Christian Kirk for DeAndre Swift and Ridley? I think going to Ridley will end up being a downgrade rest of season. I think it's going to get confusing in Philly. Going from Kirk to Ridley would be a little better though. There really isn't correlation on your team. I think it's a pretty even trade. It feels like it really does feel like a personal preference trade. I would rather keep Kirk and Montgomery. I think it's even. So if you like those other players and you would have more fun cheering for those players, then I would do that trade. But I do think it's very even. Leo, 0-4, trying not to freak out. Yeah. I mean, it's tough. Winless after a month, I imagine it's a tough feeling. Feel like Kirk is getting more targets than Ridley. For sure. I think Christian Kirk's going to have more targets, more catches than Ridley. It's just valuable catches, valuable touches. I think Calvin Ridley has more valuable touches. Calvin Ridley, did I say his name correctly? He is killing it in air yards. He's doing really well. He just has 4 drops. He's a buy low candidate. If I can get to it, which I'm going to jump back into it here, Calvin Ridley, I'll talk a little bit more about him. I like him. I think Christian Kirk's good too, but I like Calvin Ridley. Joe Burrow finished it up. Let's jump to Calvin Ridley then. I have 3 more buy low guys, and then I'll quickly talk about 7 sell high candidates for this week. Calvin Ridley, buy low. He started his return with a bang. Week 1 against the Colts, wide receiver 6, very good. Then he's been bad, and people are starting to freak out a little bit. I understand, but he's still top 30 for targets. He's seeing the ball. He has 4 drops, which has contributed to him being wide receiver 37. That's not going to continue. He's not going to average a drop a week. It's going to get better. But his matchups coming up are great. This week he plays Buffalo Bills. Buffalo obviously traveling to London, also have to adjust without Tre'Davious White being in the lineup now. So last week he faced a good corner in Atlanta or against Atlanta. This week he is against a Tre'Davious White-less Buffalo team. So I like it. And then he places the Colts again, who he destroyed in week 1. So I think Calvin Ridley gets back on track. I think he's a good buy low candidate. Definitely trust it. Chris Olave is another buy low guy. His ADP was wide receiver 12. Obviously on the show, we said we didn't like it, that he was getting overdrafted. Obviously most people didn't listen, right? Not everybody listens to this show, kind of crazy. So the people who drafted him as wide receiver 12 got to be pissed, right? They got to be freaking out. He's just not doing the job. He is wide receiver 27. That's not terrible. But if you drafted him as a wide receiver 1 or, just wide receiver 12 overall, you're angry. You may not have the best team. Your record may not be that good, and you may be very willing to sell. So I would love to get Chris Olave. 306 receiving yards. That's not that bad. Also, Alvin Kamara just came back. Alvin Kamara being back is going to improve the offense. I don't love Alvin Kamara as a fantasy player, but it does help the Saints offense. If the Saints are in scoring position more often, then Chris Olave is going to have a higher probability to score a touchdown. I believe 1 touchdown to his name so far this year. Yes, 1 touchdown. So his fantasy value is going to go up. Also, he has the 4th most air yards in the NFL this year, 536. Like last week, Derek Carr just kept missing them. So the potential is there. The opportunity is there. It's just a, Craigslist misconnection situation. Like their ships passing in the night. The ball needs to get into Chris Olave's hands. The play is there to be made, and it's just not connecting. But at some point, it's going to connect. At some point, the play is going to be made, and Chris Olave is going to be great. The potential for him to be a wide receiver 1 is already there. Just make the play, finish the play, and it's going to happen. And with some decent matchups coming up, you like that as well. Final buy low candidate, then we'll jump back into the chat for some questions. Darren Waller. And again, like Darren Waller is frustrating the hell out of people. It's doom and gloom. I get it. However, like there's the reason for most people are upset by it is because we've seen the Giants so much this year in primetime games, and the Giants have gotten their dick kicked in. They've been terrible, and Darren Waller has been terrible too. He's been open a few times and the ball just didn't go his way. A lot of other times he's disappearing, and he's disappearing because he's been asked to chip at the line of scrimmage every single time because their tackles are so goddamn terrible. However, when Saquon Barkley comes back, I don't think it's going to be this week, but there is a chance. Some people are expecting it this week. It's either this week or next week, I would say. But we've seen how much the presence of Saquon Barkley on the field for the Giants completely improves their offense. And if Saquon Barkley's back, the offense is improved and they can run the ball. They have some sort of respect from the defense in the running game. That pass rush is going to slow down. That's going to help the tackles out. Daniel Jones isn't going to be on his back immediately. Darren Waller won't have to chip at the beginning of his routes, and then he's going to be good, right? That improves his probability to make plays, to get fantasy points, yada, yada, yada. However, even if we just took the terrible Giants offense as it is right now, right now, Darren Waller is tight end 12. We're acting like he is terrible. Yet there's tight ends that are like tight end 25, like Dalton Kincaid. What is he like? Tight end 25, tight end 30. And people are like, he's great. Like, I don't get it. He's tight end 12. Relax. Don't tell the Darren Waller owner this, but he's tight end 12. He's also 9th in targets amongst tight ends. Pretty good. So he is getting used. He is also 7th among air yards for tight ends. So he's getting targeted. The potential for yards is there. Again, just finish the play. Even in this terrible Giants offense as it stands right now, the potential is there for him to be a clear and obvious tight end 1 if the play just gets made. But I think the offense is going to improve. So if we're taking his value and even growing it, he's going to be great. I think you can absolutely buy Darren Waller right now. I think he's a great buy low candidate. Absolutely go get him. Definitely go get him. We will do some sell high guys then in a second. Answering some of your questions. Okay, let's go back to Ray here. Already did that one. Shout out, Ray. This is the new one. Or try David Montgomery, Dameon Pierce, Christian Kirk, and Dobbs for Aaron Jones and Keenan Allen. Aaron Jones wasn't really on a snap count last week, by the way. Hi, Packers Insider here. Host of a Packers show, host of a lot of things. Aaron Jones wasn't really on a snap count last week. It was just the Packers didn't even attempt to establish the run. So he's fine. He's going to be better. Just talked about him as a buy low guy. So, yeah, I like Aaron Jones. But would I do that trade? I mean, you're giving up so much. I would do it, though. Keenan Allen and Aaron Jones, go ahead and do it. But yeah, thanks for telling me about Aaron Jones. Listen to Lombardi Sweep sometime, Packers podcast. I don't get to do everything I want to do with that because of the other people I have on, but I do break some news on there sometimes. Pretty fun. Otherwise, you can read Rob Demovsky's anonymous sources on ESPN. Hello, I'm the anonymous source. He listens to my podcast and then just takes my words and quotes them and says anonymous source. Cool guy. Dylan Bird, thoughts on my team? Lamar Jackson, Justin Jefferson, Calvin Ridley. Good team so far. Michael Pittman, Josh Jacobs, Brian Robinson, Kincaid, Freiermuth, bench, Terry McLaurin, Dalvin Cook, Elijah Moore, Khalil Herbert. Do you say... I need to know how many teams, right? Big difference if it's a 16-teamer or an 8-teamer. But overall, I mean, it seems like a very good team. The weakness, obviously, is tight end. Freiermuth's terrible because of a terrible offense. He's obviously hurt this week. And then Kincaid, I'm not trusting, even though the consensus has him as tight end 11 this week. A little confusion on my part if you were watching that. I don't understand that whatsoever. Good team, 12-team league. You're 1-3, full PPR. Your team's better than 1-3, so I don't think freak out. But yeah, I would try to improve tight end. Who would I be looking to trade to do so? If I can package Kincaid with literally anybody, if I can go Kincaid and let's say Kincaid and Dalvin Cook to the Breece Hall owner, or Kincaid and Elijah Moore and upgrade to a good tight end that I can feel good about, like a Sam Laporta or something, then that's what I would do. Appreciate you guys answering each other too. By the way, again, if you want to ask these questions throughout the week as well, please join the Fantasy Football by Committee Facebook group. You can ask us these types of questions there, and you can answer other people's questions. Definitely encouraged. Collaboration encouraged. I love helping each other out. Leo, which running back would you target? Evan Engram, or with Evan Engram and Algier? Which running back would I try to trade for? People are really valuing Jonathan Taylor very differently. I would just talk to that person to see how they're feeling. I don't think you could get them, but I would try that first. Maybe Ramondre Stevenson. I don't mind that. Maybe Ramondre Stevenson's probably who I'd be shooting for there, eh? Josh Jacobs, maybe. I think that's too high. But yeah, that's the area I would go for. I would start with low end running back 1, high end running back 2, if that person is a tight end needy team. If they don't need tight ends, this isn't going to work. But if they need a tight end, Evan Engram's been great. He's been steady, and you can pitch that to them. Dylan had a trade offered. Give up Justin Jefferson and Brian Robinson to get CeeDee Lamb and Mark Andrews and Kenneth Walker. Yeah, I'm doing that. Yeah, absolutely. Accept that. Cool, Ray. Sending that trade. Like it. Oh, God, my computer's fucking up. Okay, Leo. League mates are so hard to trade with. I hate that. I hate stubborn traders. Trades are fun. Fantasy football is supposed to be fun. I offered Flowers and Reynolds for Gibbs. I mean, what he needs wide receivers. I mean, unless he's super desperate, I understand declining that. But yeah, talk him up a little bit, butter him up a little bit, play a little mind games. Especially if you can see these people in person, you can play mind games with these trades for sure. Ray says the person's trying to give him Waddle for Montgomery. Waddle would be a great flex, but Pierce would be my RB2. Yeah. You're not doing that. I think Waddle might get better, but he's not going to be consistent. He wasn't consistent last year. Kelsey when he has Hawkinson. That makes sense. But yeah. Okay. Let's talk about 7 players you can sell high on right now for fantasy football. Let's start with an obvious one. We'll start with a couple obvious. Maybe we'll get a little controversial. Obvious one. Puka Nacua, right? We thought his value was at an all-time high after, I believe it was that week 2 game, right? We're like, okay, you don't want to trade him when he has 1 game left before Cooper Kupp. You want to do it with 2 so you can sell that third game there, right? You want to sell that week 3 game included in the value. That's when his value was at an all-time high. I do believe we were correct with that. But now, Cooper Kupp might not play this week. He's eligible to come off IR, but he may not play, and that gives the Puka Nacua believers the hype train of Puka Nacua more life, more air, more reason to believe. So if they are not a Puka Nacua owner, but they want to be, this gives them optimism to trade for him. This gives them a reason like, oh, Cooper Kupp's not going to come back healthy. I knew it. I said it. They're going to do all that stuff. Feed into that hype. Trade him away. He's been wide receiver 4 so far this season. I get it. However, Cooper Kupp's going to come back at some point, and Puka's probably going to have a 5 to 8 target role, 5 to 7 target role every week, which isn't terrible, right? That's still fantasy relevant, but he's not going to be wide receiver 4, and I think you can sell him at pretty good value right now. I like him quite a bit. Also, like on top of Cooper Kupp coming back, like Matthew Stafford's already hurt. It's week 5 and he's hurt. He's going to play hurt, and he's going to be playing a little too long. He's going to get hurt worse, and then he's going to play a game and he's going to look terrible. And then he's going to play another game and he's going to look terrible because he's hurt and shouldn't be playing. And then he's going to get hit, or they're going to lose too many games, and then they'll sit him down. So you don't necessarily want to be starting Puka through that stretch either. So I think there's a ton of reasons to sell him right now, the biggest of which being that Cooper Kupp injury update. Just because Kupp may not come back for week 5, that doesn't mean he's not back for week 6 or 7, right? So that's why I'm doing that trade. Another wide receiver, Christian Watson, maybe a little bit controversial. I've seen a lot of people talk him up as a buy low candidate. Again, Packers Insider, hi, let me talk to you about Christian Watson. Christian Watson's not the most talented receiver on the Packers roster. He's not the most skilled wide receiver. That's Romeo Doubs. We've said that for a long time. I've said that for a long time. It's true. Christian Watson has the God-given abilities of speed and size, athleticism. When he's not 100% healthy, I mean, he's a Lamborghini, right? Like, he needs to be fully ready. The conditions need to be perfect for him to go to be great. So if he gets another little hamstring tweak, he's going to be out again. But on top of that, Romeo Doubs is more skilled. They can use Romeo Doubs in more ways. He also has the rapport with Jordan Love, yada, yada, yada. Christian Watson came back last week on a snap count, and he scored a touchdown. So many people are freaking out about that touchdown. They're thinking about that long stretch last season where he kept getting touchdown. And people fed into that hype last year. He comes back, scores a touchdown, and people are feeding into the hype again. If you have somebody in your league feeding into that hype and thinks he's going to be a wide receiver 1, even a wide receiver 2 consistently, trade his ass. There's going to be long stretches this year where Christian Watson fully disappears, because that's the type of player he is. If he sees top coverage, if he sees any safety rolling over the top, like, he's just not going to be overly valuable if he doesn't score a touchdown. So if there's people really riding that hype train off last week's touchdown, trade Christian Watson. Let's talk about another player who just came back last week, and we are going to trade them off of that big performance. Talking Alvin Kamara. I understand. If you're an Alvin Kamara owner, you had to wait 3 weeks of suspensions. You had to wait out 3 weeks, and then you finally got to play him last week, and he was great. He was great because he had, 13 receptions? Yeah, he had 13 catches, and he was still running back 9 in PPR. And that's because he didn't score a touchdown. Let me tell you, he's not going to score touchdowns this year. I said it a little bit ago in the show. If you set Alvin Kamara's touchdowns at 5.5 rest of the season, I'll take the under. If you set it at 4.5, I might take the under. He's just not great in the red zone. Like, he's not a strong runner. He's not a good short yardage runner. He's not a good red zone runner. We already knew that, and the Saints knew that. That's why they traded for signed Jamal Williams in the offseason, most rushing touchdowns last year. So when everyone's healthy, 1, Jamal Williams, probably best red zone rusher. 2, Taysom Hill, next best red zone rusher. Then Alvin Kamara is the 3rd best red zone rusher. But is he the 3rd best red zone weapon on the Saints? No. They also got Jawan Johnson. That's where he thrives. They got a package solely for Jimmy Graham down there. Jimmy Graham is only on the team to play red zone. So he's going to be a receiving target down there. So Alvin Kamara may be the third or fourth or fifth option in the red zone. He's just not going to score touchdowns. He's not going to catch 13 catches per game, 13 receptions per game. So he's a flex. Like, truth be told, I think Alvin Kamara is a flex rest of season. That's not terrible, right? Like, it's a guy that who just came back. All of a sudden, he's a solid flex for you in PPR scoring. Sure. But I think you can sell Alvin Kamara at RB2 value. And if you can sell him at RB2 value, then do it. Because like I said, he's a flex. He's running back 30 rest of year, something like that. So trade away Alvin Kamara. Not a must sell for any of these people I'm talking about. Almost none of them are must sells. None of them I've said so far are must sells, but they are sell high. Now, I have one more, and then we'll get into the must sells maybe. This is someone I said is a sell high candidate when I talked about him in the preseason, in training camp, before we even seen him on the field. I said, this guy is going to be my favorite sell high candidate of the year. Everything I said, everything predicted has come to fruition. The stars are aligning, and I'm telling you, this guy is a sell high candidate. It's not an easy sell high candidate because I'm talking about Sam Laporta. Now, Sam Laporta is great. I am not downgrading his value. I'm not downgrading his role or his talent. Sam Laporta is a great player. He's going to be a great player in the NFL for a long time. However, at a position of scarcity in the sad, sad world that is fantasy football tight ends, you have someone who's valuable, someone who's playing pretty well right now. And when I say pretty well, I'm saying he's tight end 2 for the season. Tight end 2. He's never going to be tight end 2 again, except for this moment right now. We're going to see Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce, people like that coming alive, right? So Sam Laporta, tight end 2, you can sell that. You can sell that. On top of that, the rookie wall is a real thing, especially for a tight end who's playing 2 positions, essentially. He played very physical football in Iowa. A lot of run blocking, a lot of passing. He saw all of the targets at Iowa, essentially. They had no offense except for him. Took a lot of hits. Immediately following their lackluster season, because they're Iowa, then he has to train for the draft. So he goes through the draft process, training for the draft. That's exhausting. Then he signs with the Lions. Immediately gets put into a big role for the Lions, playing physical Lions football, blocking, getting hit all the time, a lot of stuff. That rookie wall is going to hit eventually. It catches up to everybody. It's going to hit him. He's played a lot of really good but really physical football over the past calendar year with really no break, and I think he's going to hit the wall. Do I think the wall's going to hit this week? No. That's why I like selling him right now. I think he has good football ahead of him, and you can sell that. And he's tight end 2, but after a month, maybe even 2 months, that rookie wall is going to hit. Also, the end of their season, the last month, maybe month and a half of their season, not the easiest for tight ends. So I do think Sam Laporta is a sell high, not a must sell. Again, he's not a must sell, but I do think you can sell high on Sam Laporta's value right now, especially because there's a lot of teams out there who have tight ends that are terrible. They're just trying to find anything at tight end. So, you float Sam Laporta out there, and I think people will overpay for something like that. Let's jump to the chat here for a little bit, and then we have 3 more sell highs. 3 more. 2 of them all packaged together, and the other one I don't have much to say about them other than he's not very good at football. Some of you already know who I'm talking about. Okay, chat. Try not to miss anything, just so you guys know. But Ray says he'd be happy accepted the other trade from before. Only lost by 4 or 5 points after losing Chubb, so clearly I need another guy. Yeah. Replacing Chubb sucks too. Sucks. I had a lot of Chubb on my team. Weird thing to say, but like dynasties, both of my dynasties, I have Nick Chubb, a lot of stuff. So I understand replacing him. I appreciate the sub. We are doing a lot of stuff here. I also would love if people joined the Fantasy Football by Committee Facebook group. Again, the stream is in there, rankings are in there, and you can ask or answer fantasy questions. If you're worried about other people in your league seeing you ask questions, just know you can ask questions anonymously as well, which is one of my favorite things on there. I think it's really smart. Jim on YouTube, by the way, if you're watching on YouTube, link in the description to the rankings, but also to the Facebook group. T. Higgins and Breece Hall from Michael Thomas and Raheem Mostert. 14 team PPR. No, I want T. Higgins and Breece Hall. I will talk about Raheem Mostert in my sell high in a couple seconds. Leo, trade Ingram and Algier for Hall or too much? I don't hate it. I think it's a little too much just because like you're buying low on him. It's not like I can't imagine the Breece Hall owner is projecting him to be great, you know? So I think it's a little bit too much. A little too much. Shane in a pickle. His team is Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, DK Metcalf, DJ Moore, Christian Watson. Running backs are Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor, Breece Hall, tight ends Laporta, backup quarterback Kirk Cousins. I want Jets. What would be too much too? I am confused. I don't know what you want. I want Jets. What would be too much too? You want Zach Wilson as your backup quarterback, or you want the Jets defense? I truly don't know what you're asking, so specify and I'll help you out. Oh, Justin Jefferson. Thank you. God damn. Okay. What would be too much? I'm cool with trading away. I really don't want to trade away AJ Brown, to be honest, but maybe that's the easiest way to do it. If you can go AJ Brown and Christian Watson for Justin Jefferson, I think that's fine. I think that's fair. I think it's fair, and like I said, I'm willing to get rid of Christian Watson right now. I would try to do maybe DK Metcalf and Watson first. If you can get away with keeping AJ Brown, you know, we prefer that. But yeah, don't mind that. Leo's trying to get rid of Algier and survive the bye week until my running back come back. Yeah, I get that. I definitely get that. I don't think you have to sell Algier. That's the thing. Things happen in fantasy football all the time. I think Algier has a week-to-week role that's relatively valuable, like probably mid to low-end flex. I'm not saying he's a start-worthy guy every week, but the fact that he has any kind of value and he's one of the best handcuffs in the NFL, that's pretty great. Like rookie year, 1,000 yards. Bijan Robinson's getting a lot of touches right now. Again, talking about that rookie wall. If he gets hurt or something, and Algier gets thrown into the lineup as a starter, we know he's going to be great. So that's the reason why you can definitely hold on. I do also hope Chubb a successful recovery, Ray. That's, I don't know, man. I don't know with him. I am certainly looking to trade him in Dynasty. I'll tell you that much. But he's been great. He's been great. He's one of my favorite players in the NFL. I hope he comes back. Would I trade Justin Fields for Jahmyr Gibbs if my quarterback is Jalen Hurts? I assume that person, the Gibbs owner, doesn't have a quarterback, right? Like, obviously, is hurting at quarterback. Assuming they're hurting at quarterback, I think you probably could get more. I don't hate trading for Gibbs. I don't hate trading away Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields' best football is ahead of him this season, and that would be my only reason not to do it immediately. I just think he's more valuable than Gibbs at the current moment too. So I don't think I would do it. I don't think it's a terrible trade, but I'm probably asking for more or waiting. Obviously, Thursday is going to be very... I don't love his matchup Thursday. I think it gets easier after that. But if Justin Fields does have a good game on prime time with everybody watching, obviously that's the best way for his value to skyrocket. Vice versa as well. That's the issue. But we shall see. We shall see. Shane plus a CMC deal is Saquon and Jonathan Taylor and Sam Laporta for CMC. Yeah, that's too much. Eagles fans that won't trade AJ. Yeah, that's too much. That's too much for Christian McCaffrey. Either Christian McCaffrey is going to see his touches lowered over the next month, 2 months. Either his touches are going to come down or he's going to get hurt. They can't keep giving him this much of a role. Like Elijah Mitchell needs to see more work. He's hurt right now too. Once he comes back healthy, he needs to be utilized he needs to have a healthy role in that offense for the 49ers to, have a chance to win a Super Bowl. Terry McLaurin or Aaron Jones in the flex for this week. That's tough. I think I'm going Aaron Jones. Very close because I like Terry McLaurin more than the consensus this week as well, but I'm going to go Aaron Jones. Stoof, PPR, Javonte McLaughlin, Curtis Samuel, or Jacoby Myers. Trade. Javonte McLaughlin and Curtis Samuel, or Jacoby Myers, good God, Tyler Boyd, Rondale. I want the first. Give me 2/3 of the Broncos backfield and Curtis Samuel, who is quietly solid. I would say Curtis Samuel, rest of season, is probably better than both Tyler Boyd and Rondale Moore. I like Rondale Moore. They just don't use him right. And Tyler Boyd is Tyler Boyd. So I want that first side. How do I feel about Cousins for Brian Robinson? I have Josh Allen. Yeah, I would love that. I would love to get Brian Robinson for Kirk Cousins. Maverick. Derrick Henry and Devontae Smith for Jonathan Taylor and Chris Olave. Very interesting trade. That's a very interesting trade. It's very close. It's very close. I really want to believe in Jonathan Taylor. That's why this is killing me. I'm going Derrick Henry and Devontae Smith. I'm taking the sure thing over potential. Potential gets you fired in sports. And Jonathan Taylor has the potential to be a league winner. Chris Olave has the potential to be a high-end wide receiver 2. But currently, Devontae Smith is a high-end wide receiver 2, and Derrick Henry might be a wide receiver or might be a running back 1 rest of the way. So I'm taking the sure thing there. Got to do it. Let's wrap up these sell high candidates with the Miami backfield. I wrote down Raheem Mostert, Devon Achane. I haven't written this part of the article yet, but truly, man, going into last week, the zero RB truthers were talking so much shit because Raheem Mostert was a lock running back 1. He was so good. Obvious running back 1 play. And then he was terrible. And Achane was great. And now Achane's an obvious running back 1 play. And now they add Jeff Wilson. And then you add the fact that their offensive line's getting hurt worse. And their home field competitive advantage of the hot, humid Miami is going down as well. Obviously, Miami's competitive advantage is early season, not late season. So I don't love this. Like, you're never going to feel good starting a Miami running back unless they're hurt again. And it trims the competition because it's going to be a 3-headed committee at best for you. It might get more. They may add somebody else too. It wouldn't surprise me if they added Leonard Fournette there. So they have 4 players to worry about. Like, I don't want a Miami running back, but if people are valuing Raheem Mostert or Devon Achane as a running back 1, a mid to high end running back 2, take it. Take whatever trade you can get. Like, I just don't want to play that game. I don't think you're going to predict the right running back correctly more often than you are incorrect. That's the issue. neither of them are reliable RB2s. So if you can sell them as an RB2, go ahead and do it. And then we'll wrap up with Jerome Ford. Jerome Ford, quite the controversial figure with Fantasy Football by Committee. Quite the controversial figure on this Flurry Sports YouTube channel. Because I said you will regret picking up Jerome Ford. I said he's a bad football player. I said I think the Browns are going to work out Kareem Hunt and sign Kareem Hunt. And the take, which kind of took off on a couple other platforms, which is kind of interesting. I said I would rather spend 2% of my fab on Kareem Hunt. This was before he was a Brown. I said I'd rather spend 2% on Kareem Hunt than 50+% on Jerome Ford. And people called me an idiot. And then Jerome Ford looked bad, but he fell into the end zone a couple times, so his fantasy day was saved. And then last week, he didn't do anything. Jerome Ford's not that good of a football player. Kareem Hunt's role is going to grow. Pierre Strong's role is going to grow. I think Jerome Ford's the third most talented running back in the backfield who's healthy. Obviously, Nick Chubb's better once he's healthy. If you can trade Jerome Ford as anything of a flex or above at this current moment, if you can trade him at flex value, RB3 value, RB2 value, do it. Take it. Get what you can get. He is on bye this week, so it's tough to trade a player who's on bye because the person who trades for him can't use them. But if you can trade to an RB needy team, absolutely do it. If you can get a wide receiver 3 for Jerome Ford, do it. If you can get a low-end tight end 1 for Jerome Ford, do it. He's not going to be reliable. If he doesn't score a touchdown, he's not going to be that reliable. He's not a great runner. He's a terrible pass protector, so he's going to come off the field for that. Yeah, you just do not need Jerome Ford on your fantasy team. Maybe people are realizing I was right. I don't know. You don't need to admit it. I would appreciate less death threats and comments like that for just saying a fantasy take that's correct. But Jerome Ford's not great. And you should sell high while you still can. Now, final chat questions, because we've been live for 2 hours. I appreciate all y'all who have, participated in chat, the lurkers, everybody in between. Ray, you have a good night too. Let us know how those go. Tomorrow night, we will be live before Thursday Night Football. Hopefully not me. Hopefully other people are live before Thursday Night Football and not me. I will probably be lurking in the chat, though. Oh, I already read that. Right? Yes, I scrolled up too far. Should I drop Luke Musgrave for Kincaid? No. Start 3, Michael Pittman, Cooper Kupp, Brandon Ayuk, Jacoby Myers, Adam Thielen. I mean, this will be made a little bit easier if Cooper Kupp doesn't play, right? So if Cooper Kupp's active, you start him. Right now, I'm just going to assume he's not active. So Michael Pittman, Brandon Ayuk, Jacoby Myers, Adam Thielen. Brandon Ayuk's a for sure. Let me consult my rankings. Jacoby Myers at 28, Adam Thielen 31, Michael Pittman Jr. higher. So I'm starting Pittman, Ayuk, and Myers. If Kupp is healthy, then I'm going to sit Jacoby, I think. But yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's what I am doing there. Yeah, Leo, that's why I mentioned Ford. You may be able to trade him. He's just not very good, man. I don't get it. Warren or Herbert, full PPR. I'm assuming Herbert. Let me look at my rankings. Rankings can be found at flurrysports.org. They will be updated through the week. They can also be found in the Fantasy Football Committee Facebook group. Herbert. Herbert. He's higher than for sure Herbert. Am I still live? Live. I apologize for that. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. Either way, we're going to end it. If you do hear this, I appreciate you all. Don't know if you are, but if you are somehow here, definitely subscribe.